You know, a lot of people suggested that I do some kind of weird, goofy video for April Fool's Day. Because I always post on Mondays and Fridays, and April Fool's Day fell on a Friday this year, people suggested I do something silly like change the name of the channel to Benny Sharp Studios, or do some really terrible art and pretend I don't notice how bad it is, but I didn't want to waste a whole video on some dumb joke, so today's video is gonna be a totally normal PopCross Studios kind of video. In fact, it's gonna be a video that I've been promising to do for a long time, where I'm gonna be taking some famous dragons and turning them into superheroes. So I went online and looked up most famous dragons ever, and the first thing to pop up were these videos about a bunch of different dragons that I guess are the most famous dragons in the world. I don't know, I didn't look too much into it. And I didn't pay that much attention to the lore the guy was describing. He didn't really have a good YouTuber voice. I don't know what he's doing making videos. But anyway, I took some of the dragons from those videos, and today I'm turning them into superheroes. Off we jaunt. Hit like if you want, subscribe if you feel like, but either way, enjoy the show. Now, as I do with all of my superhero episodes, I'm gonna start with my design notes for the character, then go into some lore for the character and their background after that. And of course, as I always do with my superhero videos, the narrator for this episode is gonna be my own original character, Professor Shampoo McGregor. Some people have been getting a bit annoyed that he's a little bit too optimistic of a character, but, you know, I have fun voicing him, people seem to like him, so I'm just gonna keep him going. Anyway, as for the design notes on this one, the dragon that I'm adapting here is called, apparently, the North American Shielded Wyvern. And the very first thing I decided to do was, since this dragon, apparently, you know, I listened to a bit of the lore, tuned out a little bit because the guy was really boring, but apparently this dragon uses its wings to block things like shields. Like, they're really, really sturdy wings that can just block anything. So I decided it might be kind of interesting to draw a superhero that has two shields that he can kind of like put together and make into one big shield. I know it's a bit of a weird idea, like why would anyone want to see a superhero with a shield? You know, superheroes should have something cooler like a big laser gun or a sword or an axe or a cucumber, but you know, I thought having a shield on a character like a superhero could be kind of unique, so I just leaned into that. I also decided to have him doing something similar to what the dragon's doing, like put him in basically the same pose, and instead of blocking arrows coming at him, block these like blue plasma bolt things. I was gonna make them yellow, but then I figured the background would be yellow to contrast with the character, so these bolts would disappear, so I made them blue, and that kind of ended up making them look a little bit like streams of water, but actually, what I meant is these were supposed to be streams of water shooting at him because the main thing that this superhero fights is Squirtles. This superhero is all, we'll get to it in the lore, but this superhero is all about fighting Squirtles. They're always attacking people and it's no good. So yeah, the streams looking like water that was on purpose. But yeah, besides that, I just translated a lot of the elements from the dragon right onto the suit of this character, and I think he ended up looking pretty cool. Alright, so let's get on to the lore, shall we? Get in character now.
Welcome, I'm so glad to see you all today. It's such a lovely day for me to tell you about more of the superheroes I've helped give powers to. I, of course, am Professor Shampoo McGregor, superhero geneticist with some of the best possible clients in the world, who I help enhance and develop their superpowers and abilities. First for today, let me tell you about Mr. America. He's a very patriotic superhero who has super strength and speed and can fly by flapping his two shields together like an eagle and just floating away through the air. He looks truly graceful as he flips through the air, setting off to save people in his beautiful country of America. The biggest and greatest threat that this heroic, patriotic man faces off against in his daily life is the swarms of Squirtles that are constantly terrorizing America. These Pokemon will not let up until they have taken over the whole country, but it seems every time he puts one of them behind bars, two more will rise up and take its place. But he will not stop until they're beaten. What a true hero this man is. I love this man, and I love you all. I just love everything. We're all very lucky to have Mr. America fighting on our side for freedom against these tyrannical turtles. But he ain't the only one out there making sure the innocent of the world are safe. So let's look at some more, shall we?
Now the next dragon I was adapting is called the Forst Wing Mountain Dragon. It's an icy sort of dragon, and for the superhero version, I decided to take inspiration from magical girl sort of designs, like Sailor Moon and stuff like that, because obviously if you're a fan of this channel, you know the most popular video I've ever made by far was my Yu-Gi-Oh! Monsters as Magical Girls episode. That video, I think, got about 7 billion views in the first 4 minutes of it being released. I was watching stuff being talked about it on the news, about how everyone in the world who didn't have an internet source immediately went out and found a way to watch my video as soon as it went out, because they all just had to see Yu-Gi-Oh! Monsters turned into magical girls. I was interviewed on Ellen DeGeneres about it, and I was given the key to the city, and just like every city, I was mailed so many keys for making that video. And since then, everyone's just been like, Christian, when are you going to draw more magical girls on PopCross Studios? And I was like, okay, I'll take some inspiration from those for this superhero drawing. The dragon itself is mostly blue and black, but I threw in a few more pops of green inspired by its weird buggy eyes. I also gave this character green goggle sorts of things that end up looking a little bit weird because goggles are always a little bit hard to pull off in terms of how much detail to put on them, blocking the eyes and not blocking the eyes. I changed the opacity of them a bunch during the drawing, and I don't really know if I found the right level for them, but I'm happy enough with them. I also gave the character these sort of fairy kinds of wings inspired by how the dragon has 4 wings itself. That lent into the magical girl vibe that all of you obviously really wanted me to lean into, and I think it ended up looking pretty cool. Not my favorite drawing of the video, but I'm happy enough with it. Okay, so now let's get into the lore.
This next superhero is one of my best clients. She's a young, plucky hero who's small by hero standards, but don't let that fool ya. She can pack a real wallop. She goes by the hero name Frosty the Wing Lady. Frosty here has the power to shoot ice beams from her hands, and she can sparkle magical ice dust that will cause snow clouds to appear. She can make it snow in even the hottest places on Earth, like Egypt or Missouri or Belfast or something like that. She was already pretty good at using her powers when she came to me, but like with all me clients, I just gave her some positive inspiration and some pushes in the right direction and affirmations and a little bit of super steroids. Of course, the biggest threat to her is those mangy squirtles. Luckily, she can freeze them from the inside out and make them die slowly as the ice in their veins solidifies and they can't move, so they become slowly dying statues. Sorry, that got a bit dark. The point is she can stop those nasty Pokemon and keep people safe with her ice powers. What a true hero she really is.
Now, since this video is obviously going to be the most popular video that anyone's ever made on YouTube, I figured that it was the perfect opportunity for me to announce that I am finally doing it. I'm finally starting an OnlyFans. So if you sign up to pay $116 every day to support this channel, I will personally take a spoon full of peanut butter and stick it in an envelope and mail it to your house. And I solemnly swear that every single penny I make off of this OnlyFans will go directly towards helping me have more money. I'm only letting 1,000 people sign up for that plan, so I'd get on it pretty quick if I were you. I won't put a link anywhere, this is fake. Alright, now I know for this next dragon, which is called the Dracharacnia and is a sort of spider dragon kind of thing, I went with the most obvious, easy idea that I possibly could have. It was so honestly uncreative of me. Everyone would have thought of this immediately upon looking at this dragon. To take it and to turn it into a superhero, make it into a sentient jar of Vegemite. I mean, I know, it's such an obvious thing that I almost didn't even want to do it, but, you know, sometimes the obvious solution is just the best thing to do. So I just went for it, and you know what? It turned out pretty cool. In fact, this is definitely going to end up being a sticker on the PopCross Studios Teespring store, and anyone who signs up for the OnlyFans is going to get 50 of these mailed to their home by tomorrow. But I do think this ends up being a really fun drawing, and I think this is the new mascot of the channel. It's the best thing I've ever done. I might even give up YouTube after this because this is just so amazing that where else can I go from here? I made it in a pretty fun, dynamic pose. Apparently, from the dragon, it's supposed to be a pretty friendly kind of character. I don't remember if I worked that into the lore or not. Maybe I did, but let's just get into the lore now and see what ended up happening with this character's backstory.
The next hero wasn't actually a hero at first. It was a regular Jar of Vegemite, which obviously, as all of you know, is me favourite food. I know it's kinda unoriginal since everybody on the planet loves the taste of this nasty yeast paste, but still I can't help it, it's so good. I was getting the jar out, then accidentally dropped the Jar of Vegemite into this big bin I had of radioactive spiders. I took it out real quick, but as I reached in, one of the spiders bit me. And then it gave me the powers of a spider, so I could, like, shoot webs and swing around. Because, you know, spiders is always doing that. They're always shooting webs and swinging around me house. It's just a normal thing that spiders always do. And now I can do it too. But then I bit the Jar of Vegemite and it got all the powers of a Spider-Man. So now it was swinging around doing superhero stuff with spider powers as well. It became a sentient jar of Spider-Man Vegemite. And now it spends its days fighting off those freaking squirtles.
Alright, now for this last dragon that I was adapting, the dragon itself is probably the most powerful of the ones I was adapting based on, you know, the limited amount of the lore that I actually listened to. It's called the Explosive Terrorclaw, and it was apparently a fusion of two other dragons, like, I guess the child of two other dragons, so I decided that this character could actually be the child of two other superheroes. We'll get more into that in the lore. You'll see I made a very fleshed out backstory for this character, but I tried to give this superhero all the same abilities as the dragon, that it can shoot these big explosions from its hands, which I didn't really end up working into the drawing. It's all in the lore. But then she's also got these really big claws like the dragon has, and I gave her these really big fists and gauntlets because the dragon's got these really big paws, and I thought those were cool. It's very scrappy looking, and I tried to work that into the character, like she's got some bandages on her and stuff. The dragon also had this big X going along its chest and stomach, so I decided to try and work that into this character with the armor she's wearing. But you'd probably be able to recognize it better that she's got an X built into her armor if she was in a different pose, but I wanted this sort of hunched over kind of pose, and because she's got these big gauntlets, I wanted to give them a bit of heft and make them feel a bit heavy. So one is kind of dangling below her, the other one she's lifting up at her side and looking kind of side-eyed like she's ready to go and scrap and tear someone apart. I really like how the drawing turned out for this character, but I think the lore is really cool too, so maybe we should just jump right into that. Here, I'll get into character.
It's too late. The Squirtles have taken over the world. I just saw the news and the planet's governments have all been taken over by the Squirtle regime, and now we all have to bow down to the Squirtles. All the heroes, they're all dead. I was gonna tell you about the hero named Lady Murderclaw, but what's the point now? She's dead. But you know what? Things could be worse. I've still got me health. I've got plenty of Vegemite left in the cabinet. You really got to look on the bright side in a situation like this and see it ain't about the evil Squirtles making circumstances around you terrible as they shoot water at everybody and wear their weird sunglasses that nobody likes. Life is really all about what's going on the inside. You can focus on the good, or you can help plot to take over and rage at the Squirtle overlords and not stop until every one of their heads is on a stick and we have slain every last one of those stupid...
Alright, that's as long as I was willing to commit to that ridiculous bit, so now, you know, I'm back to normal and willing to acknowledge that yes, this absolutely was an April Fool's Day video. but hopefully you all still enjoyed the art. I was trying to walk that line of making it ridiculous and silly and funny, but also having some cool drawings in it, so I hope you all enjoyed this all the same. If you want some actual proper superhero episodes on this channel that are, you know, still a little bit ridiculous, but less ridiculous, I've made a whole playlist of my best superhero episodes, which starts with my most recent one, some nautical leviathans as superheroes. Really like how that one turned out. And of course, if you want me to do a proper famous dragons as superheroes episode, give me ideas for what dragons you'd want me to use in the comments. But besides that, that's all for today, except of course, I had considered, because this is an April Fool's Day video, ending it on a depressing and demoralizing note instead of my usual uplifting sort of note, but I couldn't bring myself to do it, so we're still gonna end on an uplifting quote that I really like, which is that your life becomes amazing the minute you decide it already is. I hope that's helpful to someone out there. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next episode on Monday, which is also gonna be pretty ridiculous, but for a different reason. It's a dragon video where all of the lore was written by artificial intelligence, and it did a really weird job. I'll see you there. Goodbye.